So as Vlad TV is unleashing parts from the interview between him and Quentin Miller, and Quentin Miller is just going into detail and breaking down what was the reason for, his separation from Drake. After it was revealed that Drake had a ghostwriter, how Meek Mill came into the picture, and he just also spoke about what records he worked on, and you just see the confidence. Quentin Miller seems a lot more outspoken. He truly deserves his flowers. I think that, now he's unapologetic. At first, he didn't want to say too much. He still watches his words. You could tell that he's holding back and he has so much to say, but he's not really revealing too much. And you could tell he doesn't want to ruin a lot of relationships and he doesn't want to expose certain things. But, he spoke about what happened, the issues between him and Meek Mill, how Meek Mill kind of ruined his relationship with Drake. And then Drake, who, put out one of the most classic diss records of all time with Back to Back. And, later on down the line, after they got into a battle, Drake and Meek Mill, they reconciled. And next thing you know, that they were back doing music together. Drama wanted for, Quentin Miller to work with Meek Mill. Quentin Miller, you could tell he didn't think that that was the right move to make at that time, because he already has a relationship with Drake. And if Drake and Meek Mill, if there's tension between the two, then I'm not going to be disloyal to Drake. And it's crazy because he was loyal to Drake, and Drake ended up, turning his back on him. He was like, Drake was just in an interview. He was speaking on how he collaborated with 21 Savage and how they bounced ideas off each other. So he was like, why you didn't lift me up the same way you lift 21 Savage? Like, you wanted to use somebody who's more well-known, somebody more famous, when you could have gave me that exposure, right? So Quentin Miller expressed how he felt some type of way about that. So I made a comment and I stated that, I think that Drake's position was, people at that point were starting to discredit Drake. They were starting to question his pen and his greatness. So I think that Drake felt slighted. He felt like, all right, well, now people going to give you credit for songs that you may not even worked on. We collaborated and we bounced ideas off each other. You can say what you want about Quentin Miller, but the guy is gifted, a great writer, phenomenal. This man is a national treasure in terms of pure bars, double entendres, triple entendres. His wordplay is insane. Metaphors. So I also want to speak about his influence on Drake. Now, it's been said that Drake stated that him and Quentin Miller met right around the time of when If You're Reading This Too Late, which was right around like 2015, right? But if you listen to a lot of Drake's music, when we dissect a lot of Drake bars, like right around when Nothing Was the Same was coming out, Drake lyrically stepped it up another level. You cannot argue that. He stepped his bars up. But you go back, even if you hear Rico, I'm in anyway, it sounds just like the language if you listen to language. I don't know why they been lying, just not that inspiring. Bank account looking any early retirement. That's talking that's just to get a reaction. Going platinum, I looked at my wrist and it's already platinum. And then you hear it was another line and started from the bottom where Drake was like, boys tell stories about the man. And then you hear Quentin Miller and 10 Bands. Boys tell stories about the man. He said, shoot shots from the corner of Robert Ory for them bands. Drake was at his best on that album. I think his ego got in the way. And he wanted to prove that he didn't need Quentin Miller. But Drake bars are very simplistic. And he hasn't really given you no memorable lines. Quentin Miller gave a lot of quotables, and If You Reading This, It's Too Late. Okay, I had to switch the flow up on you niggas. It was getting too predictable. I mean, it's on steroids. I can never pass a physical. I got it rolling in all kind of ways, lump sums and residual. I mean, we hear about the money you be getting. We just never seen the visual. Like, come on, bro. He said, the girl of your dreams to me is probably not a challenge. He said, lines like, my ex asked me where I'm moving. I said, on the better things. Yeah, 10 bands. Come on, bro. Like, he gave a lot of classic lines. He said he wrote Blessings. No Telling. No Telling is one of my favorite songs off the album. You could give credit to both. I like Quentin Miller, and I think that I would love to see Quentin Miller's writing process. I think that we need more interviews from Quentin Miller. I think he helped Nas. He collaborated with Nas the same way he collaborated with Drake, but people don't want to admit that. People are biased. He worked with Nas the same way he worked with Drake and the same way he worked with a lot of other artists. Wikipedia need to make a page for that man. You can't deny his greatness. If You Reading This Too Late is Drake's best album. And I think a lot of people want to discredit it because simply for the fact that, then you'll have to give a lot of credit to Quentin Miller. But I thought it was better than Take Care. Take Care was like an R&B album to me. But you should have took Quentin Miller up under your wing. If You Reading This Too Late is lyrically one of Drake's best album, one of his best projects. People could say that Drake has always been great with bars, but you can hear Quentin Miller's influence. Even Drake talking about calling Toronto the Six. You could tell that Atlanta slang where Quentin Miller was from, you could tell it influenced Drake a lot. Because Quentin Miller, if I'm not mistaken, grew up in the Six of Atlanta. So I think that's when Drake decided that he wanted to call Toronto the Six. And that's when Tory Lanez was like, man, we ain't never called Toronto the Six. Like, where's this? We ain't never heard that before. If you listen to a lot of the reference tracks, there were a lot of great lines that was left out of that song that Drake could have added in, and it still would have been fire. It's just the way that Drake said things. It's the way Drake put it all together. Fight dirty like Diana, never clean. My ex asked me where I'm moving. I said, on the better things. But do you know how creative and how witty that is? Like, you cannot take somebody's talent like that for granted. That's pure skill. It takes a lot to watch a movie and to reference something from a movie or reference something from a TV show or reference something that's current, something that's happening. So you got to give him that credit. I'm the biggest Drake fan, but even when you listen to records like 0 to 100, that's one of my favorite songs. And I think Quentin Miller didn't get a lot of recognition early on. I don't think he got a lot of writing credits for a lot of stuff that he probably was a part of. I think Quentin Miller been around since probably like 2013. He probably was around way earlier than that, but you can hear a lot of his influence and a lot of his, his style in Drake's music early on, around like 2013. He probably been around for some time, but he probably didn't get a lot of the writing credit. When you listen to 0 to 100, I go 0 to 100 real quick. You can hear a lot of Quentin Miller's influence in that song. I go 0 to 100, nigga, real quick. Real quick. Whole squad on that real 0 to 100. Been on some real we go 0 to 100 real quick. Go there right there, pay your bills. And I don't feel like not even a little bit. Oh, Lord. Know yourself. Know your worth. My actions been louder than my words. How you sold out but still sold down to earth. Niggas want to do it. We could do it on their turf. Oh, Lord. I'm the rookie in the vet. Shout out to the people out here holding down the set. Like, come on, bro. It sounds a lot like Quentin Miller. That sounds like Quentin Miller. I'm just here for the bucks and the bellies, nigga. Don't make me kill one of the goats for it. I run this, they like, go force, run force, go force. Like, come on, bro. Like, that's really Quentin Miller-esque. He's a tactician when it comes to the bars. Drake should have brought him up under his wing and had him keep writing and helping him. It's like, you could hear, when Lil Wayne was rapping, you could hear a lot of Gilly the Kid flow. When Lil Wayne had left, you could tell that he studied his style. No different than when Lil Kim did that interview on The Breakfast Club. She explained, she broke down. She was like, they brought me in. I knew what they were doing. And how ironic is it? It was under Young Money, Cash Money umbrella. So she said, when they brought me in, they had me doing records with Nicki Minaj. And they said, oh, what she was trying to do was she was trying to steal my cadence. They was trying to groom her at the time. Nicki Minaj is just a carbon copy of Lil Kim. That's it. That's what Drake did with Quentin Miller. Same thing. Quentin Miller is unapologetic. He's not shying away and being honest about the people that he's worked with. He's not hiding it no more. He deserves to do that because ain't nobody say nothing when Tim's told the world that she wrote Rihanna's record on the Wakanda album. And then everybody was like, oh, well, yeah, people work with people all the time, blah, blah, blah. And Rihanna embraced her instead of Drake embracing Quentin Miller. He taking credit for his work. Now, don't get me wrong. Statistically, and according to the Billboard charts, no, Drake does not need Quentin Miller. However, when we talking about being a lyrical beast, let's not act like if Quentin Miller wasn't around when Drake wrote Diplomatic Immunity, that we wouldn't be smoking on the Pusha T pack right now. Drake would have destroyed Pusha T had Quentin Miller still been around. Had he kept Quentin Miller around when Kendrick Lamar was calling him out, if Quentin Miller would have been around then, see, Drake should have took the approach like niggas from the hood. Ain't no one-on-ones. We jumping you. Like, he should have took the hood approach. We would have been smoking on the Kendrick Lamar pack. And to me, and it's just my opinion, once again, I know a lot of people love Kendrick Lamar, but I don't think that Kendrick Lamar is a top 10 rapper. I don't think he is as great as people saying he is. But Drake would have been a lyrical beast. Now you getting songs like Tootsie Slide and Kiki, do you love me? Are you riding? And I'm not saying that those are not great records. But when it comes to hip hop, being a true MC, spitting bars, like if you watch battle rap, you know what great rap is. You know what great bars is. At the top of your game, being a straight assassin in the booth. Man, you know what would have been dope if Drake teamed up with Quentin Miller and they did a joint project like him and 21 Savage just did. Then that way, you know, Quentin Miller wouldn't been going for that. Quentin Miller, can you do something for me? Like Quentin wouldn't go for that. So it would be dope. Like it'd be like a two-headed monster. You should call up Quentin Miller right now, bring him back. Now you getting songs like God's Plan. Quentin Miller done made Drake turn to God. Now he doing God's Plan. Scorpion and Care For Me. Nigga, know what you to pipe it up for these niggas. Quentin Miller left. It'll turn Drake into a feminist. Women empowerment. Writing women empowerment songs. We need Quentin Miller back, bro.